Hi everyone, Tambaramba here, or Tammy Klinger. It's my day today to share in the colour challenge, and I'm black and white. So you can see I've had the white paint, which is called lace, the black paint, which is called pitch, and the sticky multi-glue. I've also used a few stamps, so sorry that I'm going too fast on the video. So I used Dotty, which is the circles, Love, which is all the hearts, and Writing on the Wall, which is your little alpha letters. And then I also used the Border Patrol die cut. So I pre-cut some black and white ones and didn't just put aside the borders, but also put aside the little pieces from inside them. And then I've decided to also use the collage paper, the black and white collage paper, which is lovely thin paper. And I add a sticky quote as well. So let's just get started and I'll explain to you what I'm doing. So I've just torn off, I chose the little alpha grungy script or stamps, capital lettering, whatever you want to call it. That's the paper I selected, and I just tore a few little pieces up and I'm just sticking them onto the background of my canvas with some of the multi-glue. So this glue is great, just squeeze a little bit out, doesn't clog, will stick wood, paper, all sorts of things. So yeah, that's what I'm using to stick it down. I have pre-gessoed my canvas, so I have got some white gesso that I let dry, and then I'm adding in the collage. Okay, so yeah, that collage paper is lovely and thin, so really easy to add to your projects. So I tend to add it first and then add paint and things after. So what I've done is I've just decided to add a little bit of a matte gel medium over the top. That just sort of seals it all over and makes it really easy to add on top of it. So I'm just drying it off with my heat gun, just sort of pushing it down as it dries off, just to get rid of any wrinkles and stuff like that. Okay, so then I grab my black paint, which is called Pitch, and the code for that is ABMESACP02, and I'm just sort of running it along the two sides and through the center, and then a little bit at the bottom. So I kind of want to join it all up, but I want the center bit to be a bit thinner than the outside edges. So yeah, I'm just sort of adding bits here and there, not thinking about it too much, but just wanting them to join up. Then I come in with my white, so I do this while the black is still wet, and that way they will mix and form grey. So the code is ACP01 for your white, which is lace. And yeah, so that I'm just doing it and creating grey and mixing it and blending it together just with a dry brush. So I've come back in, decided to add a bit more black to the top. I often use my finger rather than a brush to spread paint around. I like the feel of paint under my fingers. Yeah, and then now I'm drying it off. So once it's dry, you can kind of see the colour that it's dried to. And I decide I need a bit more white. And the reason I decide to add a bit more white in at this point is because I know I want to come in with my stamps, and I'll probably use black for that, for a lot of the stamping. So I just want to add in a little bit more white. So yeah, the beauty of the paints is you can just keep layering. Because of the little tube, you can just squeeze a little bit out at a time, however much you need, and add it on. So really convenient. As you can see, I just put my lid straight back on. I don't wipe them clean with a wipe, and I haven't had any problem with any clogging or anything. So they just come out really clean and really smoothly. So I've dried that off, and it's time to start thinking about what else I'm going to add. So this is also from the black and white collage paper, and I'm just going to cut out a few random shapes and sort of start thinking about where I'm going to place them on my canvas. So because some of these are already only half on the paper, I just make sure I place them on my canvas so that they look like they're travelling off of the canvas. You know, I play around a bit, think, will I put it there, change my mind, but I kind of just get a rough idea of where I want to put them. And this time I think I'm going to cut out that flower, so fussy cut that. And leaving a little bit of the black line, not being too particular. So the whole idea of this black and white canvas is I'm going for the grunge factor. Black and white look awesome when you make it quite grungy, and the beauty of black and white is you can just add a little pop of colour if you want to, but because this is the colour challenge, I'm just sticking with the black and the white. So what I've done here is I've grabbed the love stamp, and the code for that is ABMES stamp 80. It's got lots of really cool grungy elements, including some hearts and circles and scribbles and things like that. So what I've done is I've popped a bit of white paint down just onto my surface, and then I've smudged it out with my finger, and then I'm using that to stamp. So I'm using a 3 circle stamp, and yeah, I just find that this paint works awesome with the rubber stamps. So just make sure you clean. That is one thing I do, clean with a wet wipe as soon as I've finished. So I've also grabbed another stamp from the Dotty stamp set, which is ABMES stamp 78, and I'm stamping that in the white paint as well. So obviously with the white paint, I'm stamping onto your black areas that have dried, and then I've come in and done exactly the same thing with black paint. I've smushed it across on my surface a little bit just so it's not too thick, and then I'm just dipping my stamp into it and stamping onto the more white areas. So you can see I've added black and white, and because of the grungy feel, you know, you can kind of really add them anywhere. I'm trying to sort of focus more along the center line there, and just have lots of circles in the project. So now I'm just giving it a quick dry. So because it's paint, don't forget to dry in between. But now I've decided to come in with one of the larger, that's a beautiful stamp from the Love set, and with some archival ink, and stamp onto the canvas. But I found because it's this canvas, and I'm probably used to working in an art journal, there was nothing behind it to push against. So what I've done is just added some paper pads underneath, and that way I can push down harder and get a more defined image. So the beauty of these stamps is they are a bit, as I said, grungy. So if they don't stamp out perfectly, that's okay, because it adds to the look. So now I've grabbed one of the white die cuts that I cut earlier, and this is from the Border Patrol set, and the code for that is ABM OOTW for Out of This World CD87. And I know I'm going to use these a lot, they're awesome. So I've just cut that, trimmed it up a bit, I removed the little stars from it, and I cut it into pieces, and thinking about put it top and bottom, but I'm actually not sure. I'm kind of, you know, this is what I do, we just play around a bit, see what I think, and then I'm just cutting a few more of the little background bits from that same collage paper from the black and white, and just sort of adding them in. So I'm making sure that I keep them a little bit centered across the page. I don't want them all out on the outer bits. I want there to be a little bit of sort of a cluster so that the eye is drawn into the canvas. So now I decide to come back in with some black paint. So again, I've put some black paint down, rubbed it with my finger to make it a bit thinner, and then I'm using another stamp that looks a bit like sequins actually, from the Dotty pack, which was stamp 78, and I'm just adding, I really like the look of that one, just adding that a bit more in, adding a little bit more black into the project. Then I've dried it off. Now I'm grabbing that matte gel medium again, and I'm just going to stick down the elements that I've fussy cut out, the flowers and circular shapes. So just making sure I put medium on the back and also rubbing it over the front as well. I usually end up with this stuff everywhere, but it dries clear, so it doesn't matter if you make a bit of a mess, it will dry clear. So just adding the larger flower. So as you can see, I'm keeping it kind of centered, kind of through the center and upwards to the right is the movement that I want to create across the page. Oh, I shouldn't say page, it's a canvas. So just adding in a little bit more of the dots, as you can see, keeping them in a cluster. And then I will, oh, that's right, then I add in, so these are from the Border Patrol, from sort of that geometric shape that's like hills. These are the inside bits, so once I cut them out, they kind of fall out of so they're like the negative space of those, and I've decided to, you know, they're gorgeous, they look like little chevrons, so I decide to add those on, and I just make sure that I create a cluster of 3 or 4, and that I have them both facing so that it draws your eye into the canvas. So rather than facing them the other way where your eye would want to head outwards, I want to draw the eye in. So again, I just pop them on with some gel medium. As you can see, that will dry clear, and you won't, at the moment it looks a bit cloudy, but that will dry completely clear. So I use gel medium by the Crafters Workshop. That's my favourite because I love, yeah, it doesn't get all gunky on my fingers because I like using my fingers. Some of the others can create quite a mess on yourself. So I just like that this one's a bit easier to use and it dries really, really clear. So once they're stuck down, they're just moving around a little bit, I will come in and dry it off. Yep, there you go with my heat gun. And then I've come in with that gorgeous clear stamp, which is ABM ES stamp 76, and it's called Writing on the Wall. And it's like a miniature version of the black and white collage paper I used in the background, and I've just added little bits of it here and there just to connect some of the black and the white together. So now I'm flipping through the quotes. So the code for the quotes is ABM ES STIC03, and they're sticky quotes, and I love that you get pages of all of them in black and all of them in white. So I've selected black for this, and I've selected one that says without struggle there is no progress. So I kind of felt like it went with the messy grungy look of the canvas. So the beauty of black and white is you really can add lots. Like when you're using limited colors, I think you can get quite messy with it before it looks messy, if that makes sense. So I've just added a little bit more black paint into areas, and what I did, which you don't actually see on here, so I actually went out, you know, finished, left, went out of my room, came back in and felt that I needed to add a little bit of a black painted edge around the floral shapes. So you'll see that in the photos, they've got a little bit more black, and I just think that ties it all together rather than looking just plonked onto the page. And here I'm just painting the edges of my canvas with the black paint, which is called Pitch, and that's pretty much will be it. Yep, so just doing all of the edges, and as I said, you'll see in the photos that some of the circular shapes and floral shapes have a little bit more black, that I think just sort of pops the whole canvas and makes it blends well together. So, oh, that's right, what I also have done here, I've just got to find this stamp. Okay, here it is. So this is from the Marlene's World collection. It's stamp BM62, and it's just like a paint splatter. So I've actually put some more white paint down on my surface and added that to the stamp, and making sure I clean it after, and just put that so it looks like paint flicks onto your canvas. And then I've just gone around the quote with a white gel pen, and that's pretty much it. Enjoy. Can't wait to see what you do. Have fun, everyone. Thanks for joining me. Bye.